and then see what the comments are saying.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm hitting this button.
All right.
3, 2. James Bond Canada, what's going on? It's our very first live stream, and you got Jeff Wybo and Murray Gillespie in the house. What's up, Murray?
Not too much. It's a nicer day where you are. I think it's like sunny and like 27 degrees. It's like 15 and raining in Vancouver, as you may see from the window over my shoulder here. But it's a gloomy day here.
Excellent. Check in here. Hopefully we're live. Let me just pull this up a bit here. We are live, says the Hungarian Experiment. Thank you so much. Peter was my videographer to hook us up here because, Murray, you're, like you said, in Vancouver, and I am in London, Ontario. And
right, so we're 3 hours ahead and behind. So
yeah,
we have to do this, right?
Okay. Murray needs to move a little more to the left to be seen in the screen. Move to your... There you go. Okay. Oh, yeah. I can see down here. Perfect.
Okay.
We are good. A little bit of a work in progress here for James Bond Canada, but really appreciate it. Hopefully some people join us in here, but we're going to talk all about Bond in the next hour here, and hopefully you guys had your notifications on. What I can do halfway through, if you're watching this on a replay, everybody, just skip ahead maybe 5 minutes, but work in progress on the James Bond Canada YouTube channel. But excited. We're really excited to be here. Let me see here. I'm going to get our link, and I'm going to fire it over to all our subscribers on Instagram and etc. Where else are we, Murray? We're on the Facebook.
We're on the Facebook, right? We're on the Twitter.
You're not.
We're on
Yeah. Oh, that's I just did what I wasn't supposed to do. Have the volume up here. But yeah, like you know what a Facebook is, right, Murray?
Well,
we're not that old at James Bond Canada. So.
Well, I am.
How old are you, Murray?
I'm going to be 52 in January.
Sorry, 52?
Yeah, 52.
But that's really a unique part of James Bond Canada that we cover. You've seen a lot of Bond over the years, more than me, who is a old 35-year-old right now. And then we're going to get Britton Walker with Bond Canada, and we're going to just keep passing the torch.
I know, right? He's our next generation. He's got to be like, I mean, he's got to be like probably like, 11 and 12 now, and he's into, karate, and he's into, soccer and stuff. And I had the pleasure to meet him and his dad. And if you guys have never seen him and never heard of him, Britton was like a huge sensation when he went on the Ellen show. And, he's like kind of Canada's youngest little James Bond know-it-all. And, the studio sent him to the premiere of Spectre in Mexico. And check out his videos. We did an interview with him not too long ago. It's on our website, and asked him some great questions. And if you just check out Alan Tube and watch his videos and search for Britton Walker, you're going to fall in love with this little kid. He's so awesome.
Yeah, like what Daniel Craig gave him his watch, right?
Oh, my God. And it was so cute in a way, because obviously you're like a little kid, you're meeting Daniel Craig, gave him a little cuddle, a little hug, and Daniel was just like, he would have melted in Britton's arms like a chocolate, right? And then he actually like, kind of talked to him a little bit and tested his Bond knowledge, and he's like, hey, do you remember this movie? And he's like, yeah, Roger Moore, Live and Let Die. And Daniel Craig was just, kind of like amazed. He's like, oh my God. He's like, that was the first one I saw. And no, it's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, and like I guess I'm a little impressed also with Daniel Craig's James Bond knowledge. Even though he is James Bond, he does know the old movies pretty well, or at least lots of elements of it. Probably not as detailed as the fans do, but he understands where the series came from. I think that's part of growing up in England versus growing up in Canada, right? Like we don't. Hey, it's hockey every Saturday night, not the James Bond movies, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in England, it's probably football and James Bond movies. We kind of had to, we're kind of on an island in the Bond world in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of push from the American market, and we always have. And I remember talking this summer to, some of the, my friends in Britain and our Bond colleagues, and AJ and Anders and Peter and just, a whole bunch of people about how, and Mark O'Connell, and talking about how, it was literally a tradition that, the Monday bank holidays, you'd always get a Bond movie, right? So that was
Yeah.
something that was really, really, and of course I never knew that, not growing up there, but we would get all our feeds from America. So from time to time you get, the ABC Sunday night movie, and it was a Bond
In the
movie. And I remember
70s, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, no, I would probably say I'm not that old.
Oh, not 80s?
Probably say like by mid, into the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and they would start replaying like Diamonds Are Forever and Spy Who Loved Me on TV and stuff like that. So yeah, it was always the ABC Sunday night movie from the United States.
Do you remember TBS 15 Days of 007?
Dude, I won. Actually, I remember that because that was back in the day, and I'm not lying. I remember we only had one internet connection, and you couldn't have your phone plugged in. So I had to take my phone, unplug it, and I was watching the movie. And the thing was, on any particular day, they would rotate the movies, right? Yeah. So there'd be like Domino and then Goldfinger and stuff, but they would run an online quiz. And as the movies would go by, they would pop up with like little questions, and you could type the answer really quick, and you would shoot to the top. And I still have my it's a black baseball hat, and it says 15 Days of 007 TBS Superstation. And when I saw my name like on the TV screen,
like a ticker. It was like a ticker.
Oh yeah, it was. And it was so cool because the questions that they would pick for like the Goldfinger that was on right after, there were little like clues that would come up if you were watching all day long. So you really could, if you paid attention, you were like, you get your answer in quick and you'd shoot to the top of the leaderboard. That was super cool.
Like they don't do anything like that anymore. I remember that every movie, the trivia, and you could be in a chat and you were watching a Bond movie in a chat. Like you guys are watching this live now, but I don't know.
It was groundbreaking at the time. And I remember there was one here, like, I don't think it was Crave. I'm trying to remember the Canadian TV channel that did that. But there was it was Bravo. I think it was Bravo. They did like a Bond like film festival. They had no like interactive stuff to go with it. But yeah, TBS Superstation, that was amazing.
Yeah, and like I just feel whenever that kind of ended in the late 90s, I don't really see the Bond movies on TV in Canada very much. So
no,
maybe it's the rights. I think does Crave TV have them right now or something?
Crave. Because from time to time you'd get a few where there'd be like like a month or so where you get like the same movie every Friday on like Showcase.
Okay, so here's
it would be more than the new ones because now you'll get a lot like Showcase here or Showtime, I guess, in America and Showcase here. You'll get a lot of Casino Royale's played a lot, Quantum, and Spectre. They're all actually played probably like once every 2-3 months. You'll see it on Canadian TV on Showcase.
Yeah, and so personally for me, being a lot more busier as an adult now and not having every spare minute to watch a James Bond movie, I used to like them on TV because you could just catch a little bit of it and you didn't have to like really invest yourself into taking the Blu-ray out, putting it in the thing, watching it. If you just could catch something on TV and you had to run out, like that was always like the fun. Like sometimes you remember you could own the movies, but it's on TV. You'd watch it on TV, even with commercials, because you can get up, you can go make popcorn, do whatever you're gonna do. But most of you guys know that I went on the On Her Majesty's Secret Service 50th anniversary trip. So what's the thing you want to do? What's the thing you want to do before you go? Probably rewatch the movie maybe once, right? And it's personally for me, it's really hard to carve out that time to watch it. So we did it. And I showed it to Shannon and my wife and my baby Sadie, and we were able to watch it together. That's our first Bond movie, I think.
Oh, that's so cute.
I think so.
That's awesome. No, I remember my first Bond movie on the big screen, but I think I only remember like literally like 3 scenes because I was 9. I remember the next one at 11, and I remember the ones I would see on the big screen. I would then also remember the first time I got to see a Connery Bond movie on a big screen, because from time to time they would have like a repertory cinema house would do like a Bond double feature. So I would go to that. But in the advent of the VCR, and this is my high school days, this is like 1982, 83, it was great when the movies were on Because back then you could rent them video for $4.99, but to buy it was still like $69.99, so you didn't want to spend like that much money. So when they were on CTV, I would love being able to obviously popping in a VHS and the advent of the VCR. It's like, oh my god, now I've got Diamonds Are Forever on tape and I can watch whenever I want. I've got Live and Let Die and stuff. But what was the first Connery Bond movie, Jeff, that you ever saw on a big screen? You remember?
I think I remember because I don't think I've seen one on a big screen.
Really? Oh, dude.
Oh, no. Here's Dr. No at Pinewood Studios with the cast.
No way. When was that?
2012, pre-Skyfall, when Roger was there.
Oh,
and
that's
this was
right.
just before lunch that we went to the... I can't remember what the name of the movie theater is there. Maybe it's the Albert R. Broccoli Theater or something.
Yeah.
And
actually, I remember that event. It was, I think that was like a Bond Stars sponsored and Pinewood Studios collaboration, right? Yeah.
So that's the only Connery I've seen on a big screen. So, but hey, got to watch Dr. No with the cast. No Sean Connery, no Ursula Andress, but had Monty Norman there, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And the late Eunice Gayson and a few other Three Blind Mice guys. One of them. Yeah. And Stanley Morgan. So he was there too. So I think he just passed away also recently in the last couple of years. Yeah. It's been a bad year for Bond for stars. It feels like, and just feels like they're coming more and more these days. So.
I mean, when you think of the sort of, that 60s era of those, first 6-7 films, I mean, these people are, getting on in years. It's not surprising that, in the next, 4 or 5 years, we may lose, Sean Connery. Right? Yeah. It's something that someone's going to be like, oh, a young 30 or 40-year-old actor is, suddenly passed on. It's in our future, right? It's not immediate, but you can see it happening. It's funny. I remember enjoying Dr. No as well when we did our 2013 Bond Reloaded Film Festival here in Vancouver. We were lucky enough, and this was like a total, it was just a total random how it happened because Marguerite Loirs, Marguerite Gordon, from Miss Jamaica, and she played Annabelle, the photographer, the evil photographer.
Oh yeah.
Hey, right. So we had
did they pull back her eye?
They did. Yeah, she told great stories, and actually, I pulled out the big Eon book, the 50-year the archive one. The coffee table book that's like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And, I pulled that out when I met her. So we had planned the film festival. My collection was all set up, and all of a sudden I get a call from the fellow at the theater, and he goes, "Guess what? We've got a Bond girl." I'm like, "What?" And so it turns out that Marguerite's son lives here in Vancouver with his daughter, Marguerite's granddaughter, and just by luck of the draw, she was coming here for a visit for a vacation. So she heard about our premiere. We reached out to her, and then she came to the Dr. No VIP and Gala event that night. It was just so great. I've got some great pictures on our website and stuff, and some great videos. But it was just so nice. And I remember opening up this Bond archive book, and there's a picture of her getting her makeup done in the chair. And because that Bond archive book was such a collaboration of the Eon archive of them going through so many still photos and stuff that had sort of never been seen before, when I popped it open, the look on her face, she's like, "Oh my God, I have never seen that picture before." She was so excited. It was really great.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's a great book. Couple good. Shannon got that for me one year. That was a pretty cool present. We sat there and went through the whole thing, and it's such a big book.
In that book.
Oh yeah, you can get lost in there. I'm pretty sure that's the book. I think there's The Man with the Golden Gun. There's a map to the spiral jump that nobody knew how to get to it. All these on the tracks of 007 guys. Yeah. And then one day they're flipping through this book and they're like, "There's a freaking map of this here," and that's how they kind of linked up the rivers and knew where the flip went. So, and it was like the elusive last Holy Grail Bond thing until we go put our flag on Mount Asgard.
That's right. Like, I mean, I love watching that whole behind the scenes of 007, the DVD documentary, and that whole bit about that jump. Like every little tidbit about it, about how they, the studio kept calling and they were going over budget. And finally Albert said, listen, dude, this is only a movie. Like, do not risk your life. And Rick's like,
that's nice.
I'm just waiting for the clouds to clear, man. I just, and then, the whole idea of like, oh, they wanted to shoot it with this camera, but that camera lost him.
Yeah.
And there was a malfunction with the camera. And then he's like so excited that the jump went fine. And he's like literally like in the parachute going, oh my God, I did it. He's like, whoa, cool out, man. You're James Bond, right? And that one camera follows him all the way down because he was like super excited. And it just like, I
hope that cameraman got a 10 grand, whatever would be good money back then, 10 grand bonus, like cash, here you go, like you're the only guy that caught this, like
yeah well, you hear stories about that, right? I remember watching the behind the scenes of You Only Live Twice, because You Only Live Twice was the first Connery movie that I saw on the big screen.
All right.
And I remember listening to the documentary afterward, how they were filming some of the helicopter scenes, and there was one helicopter got too close to another, and the blade one went up into the bottom of the other and like cut the guy's foot and stuff. Like, I mean, that's what I've always liked about the Bond movies, even with the advent of CGI and stuff. I mean, you were guaranteed that when you were going to see these stunts, these were real stunts. Like they took, even when you watch car flip over in Live and Let Die, right? After they were so almost like upset after it with that whoop. Like it was so perfect. Like
you mean in Golden Gun?
How perfect it was. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Didn't believe how perfect it was. It was almost too perfect.
Do you think that was a John Barry thing or a sound effect guy? I think that did the whistle.
Personally, I felt that whistle made it hokey.
Yeah, most people hate that, right? So
exactly, because it was so perfect, and I just remember seeing that two tires just hit that ramp perfectly, and that complete silence. I think it would have given a little more sort of gravitas to what they were trying to do, but suddenly with that whoop, you were like, well, yeah, now it does look too perfect,
Yeah, I went live stream on the Bond Canada Instagram page the other day, and I was just talking to some of the guys. And I think what the Craig movies have done in a way, some of the parts, especially like, let's take the torture sequence in Casino Royale, we're a little afraid for James Bond when we know we don't know what's going to go on in Bond 25, but generally speaking, everybody knows James Bond wins, but it's how can they make me feel like he could die? And then obviously that spiral jump was a very dangerous jump, but it just kind of was jovial. Right, we weren't really scared for Bond at all. Not that was such a scary sequence, but it wasn't like him sweating and he has to go do this or anything, or really chasing after Scaramanga. It was just kind of like the fun. And like you take the chase in Tomorrow Never Dies in the parking garage. Fun. Brosnan's on his phone, but we're not afraid that Brosnan Bond is going to die there, right? But whereas Craig, you're afraid sometimes.
Yeah, don't you find that whole sort of like the motif of the actors who played 007, that it changed the feel of the movies?
Oh, for
like
sure.
There were scenes, that whole Connery era. I mean, there were some serious scenes where you were afraid for Bond. The Moore era, not.
I suppose like you'd be afraid in the laser sequence when Goldfinger's just like,
oh God,
yeah, man, you're gonna die. See you later. Bye. And he's like.
The garden sequence opening from Russia with Love. I mean, that's just
stuff like that.
Or the fight scene on the train with.
Well, the train builds up all that suspense because it's just like it's chugging along, and then they go for dinner. You're not too sure. This guy's a shady character. Well, we know, I guess, but we know that Bond doesn't know. So now we're a little afraid for Bond. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So
they reached that Inspector, like that whole Spectre train sequence with
for sure.
Like that was amazing.
That was kind of like Spy Love Me-ish, kind of Jaws.
But it also had shades of for me. It also had shades of Connery and Red Grant from Russia with Love, because the space was so behind, and it was too like. There's that one scene where Daniel Craig's tries to and you can tell he's just like outmatched. I mean, he sets the guy on fire. He just picks him up and like whams him out.
But for some reason, I wasn't afraid for Craig in that scene.
No,
I don't know. Like it just felt like, all right, we're gonna get a fight and something's gonna happen. Not like, holy like the ending of Casino in Venice it's a little panicky. Like Bond, like getting cut up, he's doing that. Like we're not sure if he's going to get through that fight. Even though it's James Bond, we all know he will. But that's what I like when the movies make me wonder. Like if you take the chase inspector, the two cars, we're kind of, I know it was a plot thing with Moneypenny, but you know, you weren't really scared that he was going to catch up to him and kill him in the Aston.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, even on that inspector, right? You could I mean, if they, you know, maybe they filled it slightly different, but I could see how, you know, instead of him getting, you know, hooked off with the beer kegs and off he goes, I could totally see, you know, Daniel just getting, you know, punched out and Bautista taking the girl and him like waking up. Like it could have gone either way because it was really violent, and very rarely in the films do they give that, you know, that impression of the edge that Bond is going to lose. And there's a couple of scenes in there, you know, they've obviously been fighting for, you know, a couple of minutes now, and he's just out of breath. He's just like, you know, he tries to tell he can't, so it could go every way. And when I was in London for Secret Cinema, we're all sitting around drinking, and I floated an idea by some people, and I said, now I don't know if this would be, and this was actually really funny, it shows how old I am. I was talking about, you know, we're not going to go a la Dallas dream sequence where the whole season is a dream. You're too young to remember that. And someone piped up, he's like, oh, I remember the joke on Family Guy. So I'm like, okay, well, there's your, you know.
I think Archer's doing that right now.
Yeah. So,
but people joked that Bond 25 was going to start right where he's in the chair at Blofeld's thing, and the whole, because they didn't like the ending, that the whole ending was a dream where he's using his PPK to take down helicopters. Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. I'm like, how bold would it be? Would people hate it? Would people love it? I mean, for me as a Bond fan, I would be like, okay, that is bold, because, you know, all that talk about, you know, your balance, your memory, your vision, your sight, all that, you know, your hearing, it's all going to be affected. And seconds later, he's like, you know, blowing up helicopters from like, you know, 100 yards away. I'm like, what if that whole sort of Disney-esque ending of him driving away with Madeline? I'm like, what if the start of Bond 25 has him waking up in the chair? I mean, would people like that? Would Bond fans be like, whoa, totally bold, you know, super, you know, never thought you'd do that, really? Or would some people just go, you gotta be kidding me? What, like, if they did that, what would you think? Would you think, oh, you've got to be kidding me? Or would you be like, wow, that is bold, so I guess and cool?
Yeah. Obviously, at the end of Casino, he shoots Mr. White in the leg, and then Quantum kicks off, and it's minutes after, right? So they've done similar, that it's rejoining the two stories, but interesting in that one where Craig is wearing a 3-piece suit, and then minutes after he's wearing a 2-piece suit with the Tom Ford. So he'll be in the chair in his white Tom Ford shirt, but we'll put him in a different jacket now because it's a new costume designer.
And fire the continuity.
Continuity airs left, right, and center.
That is actually one of my favorite things, is to watch some of the movies and go, holy crap, was the continuity girl not fired for this movie? Like, I mean, even in the first movie, right, in Dr. No, do you know that you probably do, because you've watched it 100 times, and most Bond fans know, when he's on the phone with Miss Taro, and she tells him how to...
the wrong address.
Yeah, 2 different addresses, both on Madrid Drive. You're just like, what? Like, how is that?
Obviously, they knew that we weren't... Well, back then, they knew people... Yeah, they see it in the theater once, and that's it. Yeah, now we study these things on Blu-ray. Blu-ray has not done favors to some of the Bond movies. Some of them they have. Other ones, it's... Yeah. Wow, that's Martin Grace, stunt double right there. I can see him clearly.
Yeah.
Before you're watching on a really crappy VHS and a really crappy TV... Yeah, it all blends in. But on the Blu-ray, on a nice 50-something inch, 60-inch TV, you can see it.
Yeah.
So we're honored to have the Bond Experience in here, who we have to give a great shout-out for, who...
We got to give a shout-out.
Not forced us to do this, but said, hey, I think you guys should go on a live one of these times, you know? And here we are. So thank you, David. And he asks us... where is your next adventure location for you guys? So what is Bond Canada? What's Jeff? What's Murray up to in the next 365?
Well, I mean, you go first. You're always traveling. You go first.
So it's funny. Global James Bond Day is 5 October. And for some reason that date, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That's in the future. And I'm like, wait, we're in almost middle August now. Technically, like, that's 60 days out.
12 weeks, right? I know, it's not long.
Like, holy moly. Where I,
Yeah.
you know how like when you push things and you're just like, I'll worry about that in this month or, you know,
That's
a week.
future Jeff problem.
Yes, future Jeff problem. It's like, oh, wow. I may have to be somewhere in T minus 50 something days. And it's potentially going to be in New York City, but I have zero knowledge or plans. I'm just kind of keeping my schedule open. Obviously, this is the Bond Canada channel. Flying is not cheap and nothing happens in Canada, so we always have to go somewhere. So it's always that, plus hotels and away from family. A lot of sacrifice to be a James Bond Canada fan, especially since our country's so big. It's not like I can go visit you. We have to meet via the internet here.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, one of these days, I'm sure you will get out here.
I have other buddies that are trying to get me to Vancouver. I've been to Vancouver. It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. We'll come out. But it's the mountains are amazing out there. I can't believe they don't shoot a James Bond movie there. They shoot every other TV show in Vancouver.
And you know what I thought of too, because it was just recently here was they have what's called Celebration of Light. And so it's this huge fireworks display that's right down in English Bay. And I always thought, it would be actually kind of cool if they were able to film something here. Because what struck me is I live right downtown in the West End, about, like 10 minutes from the
Stanley Bridge.
Stanley Park.
Yeah.
So Lionsgate Bridge. So what's funny is that during that time, everything is drowned out. Like the booming sounds of just see thousands and thousands and thousands of fireworks. Just like you can't hear it. And I think it came to me last week. I'm like, you know what? That would be really cool to see like a chase sequence or something happening while fireworks are going on, because it would give you that sort of great sort of upshots of like, you'd see the background, but you'd still see all these fireworks because it's so expansive. And also it lent me to sort of a plot point where, wow, Bond could be blowing up something, or Bond could be breaking into something, or he could, he's using that as a diversion and a cover, because whatever he's doing, nobody in a 5-mile radius would be able to hear over the boom, 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 boom of these fireworks, right? It's just something that sort of hit me. But next 365 for me, I'm actually thinking the same thing. I'm thinking New York. I know there's an Omega store in Toronto. There's several. There's a really nice one downtown, and all the product placement that's going to come with the new Bond movie, whatever the new phone is, whenever the new watch is. New York is really, to me, it's LA, New York, London, Tokyo, the major sort of, cities around the world. New York is definitely, I think, the place to be on October 5th for James Bond Day, because, we've already heard potentially that might be a day that we get a press conference where we get a title.
It's going to be a busy day if that happens.
Exactly. And with that in hand, I'm sure that, some retailers might say, okay, you know what? We're going to unveil the new Omega watch that Bond is going to wear in Bond 25, and maybe they'll have a big in-store event at, the Omega boutique in New York or something. So, in Toronto, we're a pretty big, it's pretty big. So we get some big things there. You get some things in Vancouver. But as you said on our podcast with David, we've never, other than that 1995 premiere of GoldenEye downtown in Toronto, we've never had like a really, really big Canadian premiere. Wouldn't it be great if
And was that official, like from Eon?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was an Eon official, but I think it was a United Artists MGM official, because it was part of a larger thing, and it was sponsored by several sponsors, like one of the car companies and everything else. And as a matter of fact, our friend from Argentina, Nicholas, and I'm going to pronounce his wrong, Susik, he often posted some of these, because he was there. And I remember looking at that and I'm like, oh man, I would give my right arm to have those in my collection, because, I've got local premiere stuff and, just little premiere passes up, but nothing that was like on that scale. And there were 4 different invitations, and I believe Tina Turner came for that show as well. I believe she was there because she was in New York at the time.
I wasn't allowed to watch a James Bond movie, probably.
So you weren't allowed to watch GoldenEye.
Especially the racy GoldenEye with their Xenia on a top. Question, Murray, from Michael Maland.
Yep.
Do you guys think if this is Craig's last Bond, that Bond 25 ends in a way that kind of locks in his 5 movies into a 5-movie story. So yeah, is they going to complete from Casino to Bond 25 pretty much? Oh, my hands are here. Or like, is it open-ended? And James Bond is open-ended, or do we close Daniel Craig James Bond?
Yeah.
Tough one, obviously.
Well, I mean, I think it might be a little of both, because obviously there's been that, that like Casino was amazing. Everyone has their own views about Quantum. I mean, I liked Quantum, but for me, it's the weakest of the Craig ones. I found I like that they picked it up right where the other one left off. I did like that, but that whole first sequence of the car and the trunk, it was too frenetic. Like, I remember watching it the first time.
What's going on here? Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, stop! You're killing my eyes. Like, you're literally. I couldn't watch it. I had to turn away from the screen because it didn't get interesting for me until they let him out of the trunk. Skyfall, Spectre, like, we see how all those tendrils kind of trailed through. And then with Spectre, to me, that was a ribbon and a bow around the first 4. Yeah. So obviously we know that there's some characters in Bond 25 who are going to be back from Spectre. Mm-hmm. So I hope that they leave that first 4 and just, be done with it. And that they don't carry, let's say, that story arc and make it into a full 5, that eventually is going to come out in your little Daniel Craig 007 DVD.
It'll be coming. I think they already have a 4 right now, so they'll just tack it on and take more of our money.
Yeah, I hope that Bond 25 has some tendrils that go from Spectre, and that's all. Mm-hmm. So that at the end of Bond 25, you maybe see hopefully, let's say, the end of the Spectre story arc, so that if Daniel does happen to come back again, it's a new mission. It's a new time. Like, I mean, remember, we're 2020. And actually, I thought about this yesterday. I always wonder why they never released a movie in 2007 to capitalize on the 2007. Think about 2022. By 2022, that's the 60th anniversary of Bond, right? Mm-hmm. We're not getting Bond 25 till 2020, so we know that we're not going to get a movie in 2022.
The only way I could see Craig coming back for one more is if he's only in it if this Nami, Lashana Lynch, becomes a spy who we go to the theater to watch as Nami in insert title of any movie, and she calls Daniel Craig or visits him or whatever, calls James Bond. And just ask for some 00 advice, and because what was the plan for Jinx? It's got to be similar in Eon's mind, if this is any of their plan. Because if Jinx was going to have her movie, was she going to be running through a bar, see Brosnan, and give him a wink, and Brosnan would be like, "What? I'm just having my martini here." And
I mean, what do you think? What do you think of Michael's question in terms of how far they're going to wrap that package? Because to me, I think they've already wrapped the package at the end of Spectre. So since we know that there's going to be a few connections into the next one, do you want to see them be done with that and bring something new to the table?
The other day when Joe Darlington was live, I quickly asked him, like, do you think Nami will be a mole?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And he's like, no way. And he moved on. And I was like, but like, think about, like, if they want to, like, have James Bond come back, something's bad's gonna have to happen. Is it cliche that she dies? Is it cliche that she's a mole? I don't. One of those two. But they already kind of did that with Moneypenny, where she was in the field and now she's not in the field. So she didn't die, obviously, but.
But I think they. I don't know. I've just always thought with the history of Bond and the way they've shaped the movies, they've got just a whole, I'm going to call it a tickle trunk, and someone's going to ask me what that reference is, and I'll explain it later. But
nobody knows.
They've got a whole tickle trunk of ideas, right? I would like to see, like, to me, there would have to be a reason. Like, let's say that Moneypenny gets, and I'm not talking, anything related to mission. Let's say Moneypenny gets mugged and her body gets dumped in a river because she was mugged on the tube. Right. Like when M died, or, let's say that back in the day, we all know Mallory M, right? We all know that he was formerly, I forget what his character was, but defense secretary or what was he? In his former M's boss, like head of the.
He had military background and he was some security.
Right.
Person
so,
within England.
Yeah, so when Moneypenny was sort of chastising Bond and saying, look, you should do some more research. This
Oh,
guy
yeah.
got kidnapped by the IRA and was tortured.
Yeah.
So bring something out of his past, like take him, let's find a villain whose father was killed by the IRA and this whole thing, whatever, and connect it to a different character, and something really, really bad happens that's outside the world of espionage. Like, I mean, in today's day and age, I mean, people get hit by buses and planes crash, and, maybe make some kind of personal connection that's outside the world of
They
espionage.
kind of try to do that. And I'm just thinking as you're talking, with The World Is Not Enough with King, a little bit of M's kind of former friend, which then just got me thinking, even as you're talking, the short story For Your Eyes Only,
yes,
M gives Bond like a personal off the books thing, like, yo, my friends got murdered, can you please go kill them?
Yeah.
Which is insane. But
I thought Skyfall, until until we all watched it and we finally found out what Skyfall was.
Right.
With the little blurb and sort of synopsis that the studio had given about, like, how a mission from the past had gone bad, and that we didn't know that mission, let's say, was Silva. We didn't know that it had a direct M. I actually thought that Skyfall was the name of a mission that ran before she was M, that's now gone rogue and came back to hunt her, which is one thing that I really actually never understand. And again, fire the continuity girl. Mm-hmm. When she's explaining to Daniel Craig who he really was, and is, what was Silva's real name?
Raul something.
Tiago Rodriguez.
Oh, there you go. Rodriguez, not Raul.
There you go. So, and she explained that timing of the takeover of Hong Kong and how he was operating on his. But what didn't make any sense.
If we had Raymond Benson writing a novelization, that would have been pretty cool to hear a little bit of that backstory, because it kind of gets it's 10 seconds, and then we're supposed to believe it, I guess.
But what made sense to me was that that whole sort of continuity of Bond that Judi Dench brought to the series between 95 to 2012. Mm-hmm. What struck me as weird was they're really taking this Silva story, and this is great. Like, I was crawling into it like a worm at the bottom of a bottle of tequila. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. It was so wrapped up and intertwined, and it never made sense to me. She's like, oh, this happened in 99 or whatever. I'm like, why wouldn't you put it right in that window of when you were M? From 95 to to make it tangible, and then you could see like a timeline. You're like, oh, that's right, because she took. I mean, in our Bond timeline, right, she became M in 95. So why wouldn't it be pre something then, and then by 99, she was working with him? Maybe some of the other agents don't even know the other agents. They're all operating on their own brief and stuff. So I really wish they would find like some kind of really great original idea to put into a script. Mm-hmm. What about you?
So I got some interesting points. Does this one feel weird that there's not a lot of production vlogs out and a lot more photos? Like, we got a little bit of a Jamaica vlog came out. Everybody was like, visually this looks pretty sick. So I think majority of the public were like, yes. We got no dialogue, right? It was just the song, boom, shot this, and then getting in all the cool little scenes. But what's weird, we've seen nothing of Rami Malek. We've seen nothing of Arma. We've seen nothing of Leia. I'm like, it kind of feels so weird. Like, is everything in a studio in a secret base that they're filming right now? Not that I think it should leak, but it just seems very weird that I haven't seen anything from those characters.
So don't you find that, I mean, with the last, usually, to me anyway, it's like, if you're bringing out a new car or something, you release a little, on the first of this month, you're going to do this. You wait 2 months, then you're going to do this. It seems like it's all tied together in one big like blockbuster. And I vividly remember the last, 4 Bond movies where, like by now, a year out or less than a year, there was totally a teaser poster already, and a title.
It feels like they're going to get the whole thing done and then go, surprise, we have a movie, maybe. I don't know. Like,
they're going to release everything. Like, I mean, that's the thing. But, you had some little production bits, or you at least had a title, or they'd said, oh, so and so is, Dua Lipa is booked in to sing the Bond theme song.
Theme,
right?
I think that.
And it usually came in little spurts, and those little spurts kept people engaged, and B, it kept them sort of with their mouth watering for the next one. But right now it's feast or famine. Like, there's been absolutely nothing. So if they release the title, the trailer, the poster, and the name of the person who's going to do the song, like, all on the same day, I'm sorry, I'm going to be disappointed.
It won't be the song. The song always comes in post-production, so it'll come after. But maybe what's weird too is we've always had the November releases for the last, since GoldenEye, pretty much, kind of, Tomorrow Never Dies. But since this one's like off the cycle and it's August, we're kind of like, it's August, man, give me a trailer, like something. But like, it's probably just maybe not even shot yet. Whereas we're always expecting something in August normally. So maybe that's.
But I think too that it's not just not just like the month, but it's the timeline, right? Like, what, April 8th is supposed to be our date, right? So August, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months. Like, I don't think in the last 20 years we've ever been 8 months out of a Bond movie and not have a title, a trailer, or a poster. I'd be hazard to guess maybe 6 months, but it just seems so strange that
they must have hit a point where they're like, let's just finish the filming, we'll see what we got, and then pick a title that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Because they probably have, like, this, but one correction in a script might push them in a different direction or something. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We all pretend we think we know, but we have no idea.
It seems like a pretty collaborative effort anyway with, Cary Fukunaga, and just, you see that, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I actually was watching Phoebe Waller-Bridge was on Jimmy Fallon the other night.
So
they, spoke about, working on the script and stuff like that. So,
okay. Yeah. Another one from Michael asked a question here. I don't know when he wrote it. There's been some talk about Bond on the small screen. What are your view on that? Personally, I would hate it, says Michael. So, and maybe a Netflix spin-off of Bond or versions of that. What does that look like for our? I know my wife would love it. A period. Everybody says do a period piece, James Bond.
Yeah.
Until nobody watches it, I guess. But because then is it Fleming Bond? It's like we don't have explosions. We have just really cool casino and.
Well, maybe, I mean, we're lucky here in Canada, we've got that the moratorium is over on original stories. So, maybe James Bond Canada, maybe you and I get together and we start writing, a Bond book, a Bond screenplay, something where we won't get sued for.
Did you buy that book? The unauthorized something, or License to Kill Unauthorized?
Yeah, I've got a copy of it somewhere.
Yeah, I got a copy of it too. I think I read 3 of the 20 short stories and stopped there. Where I think the first one had 3 errors in the very first page.
Yeah. And
okay, maybe guys call me a nerd if I'm a nerd, but they're just talking about Casino Royale and he's talking about Monte Carlo. Well, that's not where and this is the book, right? That's not where Casino Royale was. So it's just like sloppiness in this book. And then they spell Vesper Lynn's name wrong, and they spell the years were off on the first page. And I'm like, okay, not invested. And then one of the next couple short stories, I got like lost. Maybe I'm not a good reader of it, but I think Bond opens a door in M's office and there's a portal to another world, like Stranger Things. And I'm like, okay, good try, but
I think Bond is too big for the small screen.
Okay, yeah. Well, what if obviously with comic or like Marvel, those things are making money, but I don't know what the bottom line. Annapurna, you're probably
more controversy now with Annapurna.
It's going bankrupt, so like it's hard to produce these movies. Everybody, here's where people watch stuff. They don't. I really wanted to get to see the Tarantino movie in the theater. I just can't book the time to go down there. And I'm like, I have to wait so I can buy it on my couch at 11 o'clock at night. One night. So, yes, I know James Bond has that brand that you take your family to the theater, you go watch a James Bond movie. Not every movie has that kind of following. So that's why Bond should still be in the theaters. It will still be in the theaters for many, many, 10, 20, 30, 40 more years if they continue to make them versus other movies. You're going to see a lot of direct to Netflix, and because that's just convenience, cheaper host space, I guess. So.
That just happened with one of the big productions where it was in turnaround, and the studio, it went so over budget they decided not to release it, and there's some really important people in it, and it's just got sold to Netflix. I think it was a Universal picture, actually. I'm trying to remember because the big names are in it, like Gal Gadot is in it,
okay,
and some big names and stuff.
Cool.
I want to tell all the James Bond viewers that I actually did something today I'm finally very proud of. I finally went to the post office today, and I mailed Jeff his birthday present. I want all of you to know that. So there it is.
Okay, now I'm on the spot. I got to mail you some Majesty stuff that's been sitting, which I've been defending Sadie from grabbing for the last so many days.
Right, well, we were talking, right, and you told me that your favorite Bond movie was Casino Royale. And I started to look through some of my old stuff, and what I know that you're going to be working on some new stuff. I pulled this out today. I'm going to stand just a little bit so people can see that. I put this on today because you would have been probably, I guess. Let's see.
That's the Detroit one.
Right. So it was a very odd, and I even pulled out.
Yep. Yeah, I have those somewhere in a box, not collecting dust.
You swipe your card for the screen. So This is back in the day of 8mm Sony recording cam, and I finally found the tape that I was looking for. So I'm going to digitize it, and I actually have been online a few times. I've never actually seen any footage or video footage from that 2004 exhibition. This is sort of before in the day where people weren't, as concerned about trademarks and stuff. Like when I went to the 2008 exhibit in London for the 100th anniversary of Fleming's death, right? The For Your Eyes Only exhibit, you weren't allowed to film in there, right? Just like, you were at Spyscape and, so this was, I've got about 25, 30 minutes of footage. Me and my friend, we went, and I'm going to digitize that. We're going to make that into a great video, but it seemed as a very sort of odd, exhibit in itself because it was one of the first ones, and the places it went, it was very sort of random. Like it was in London, it was in Dearborn, Michigan, it was in Vancouver, Phoenix, and then Nashville, Baltimore, Oklahoma City, and Cleveland. Like just not LA, not New York. I'm just like this. It was such a random thing, and it only ran for about 2 weeks. But I knew, obviously I went, and I knew that I took my video camera with me. So I started rummaging through because again, I was looking for Casino Royale stuff, and thinking about your birthday, and I started looking through some of my old books, my old shirts, and I finally found the tape. So of course, I had to charge my video camera. I hadn't been used in 100 years. Put in the 8mm tape, turn it on, and watch it on the tiny little screen. But I finally found the footage, so I'm going to digitize that, and we're going to put that up on our channel. And I really hope our fans like that because again, I've searched the web. There were a couple of links on From Sweden with Love and mi6hq.com for talking about it. But I have searched and searched. I've never seen any other video footage ever of this exhibit from 2004. So I really hope you guys, our fans, are going to like that. We're going to put that up. So I'm going to take that in next week and get that done. It's some great footage. And actually, I'm kind of a crazy Bond fan at this point too, because there's a couple of scenes where I'm shooting up and I'm looking, and as I'm looking at whatever it is I'm shooting, I'm whistling the Bond theme, so you get a little sort of
So we'll dub over that. So
yeah, exactly. Okay. Pretty good though. Pretty
good. Being James Bond is in the house. Joe
Hello,
Darlington,
Joe.
What is up? Thank you for joining.
Beautiful wife, Mary.
Thank you.
Your beautiful wife.
Thank you, everybody who actually joined and didn't have anything better to do on a Saturday night except for listen to Jeff and Murray. But really appreciate it, all the people in here. And obviously, Being James Bond is a very popular YouTube channel with the book, the audio. I remember Joe, you can correct me, but you've been going strong for I feel like a decade with I remember your original post about the poker and I think the bungee jump and then these turned into, I think, how did we listen to those back then? Was it just some kind of a podcast that we didn't know what they were called, podcasts back then?
Yeah.
But anyways, being James Bond's been around for a long time in the Bond community, and community is such an interesting word as well right now. It is pretty cool. There's quite a community going on. And Mary says hello, and Joe Silock remembers the exhibit in Detroit. Joe's in the house too.
That's
Double
awesome.
Joe.
See, how awesome! How
I have
random
photos.
is that? Right?
I have photos, but no video. I look forward to seeing the video, and I have printout photos that I took with the rink chink kind of thing,
Yeah.
So over a decade, just a podcast. Okay, yeah, so it was a podcast. So
that's great.
Man,
Well,
Joe was first to fight
like,
getting on podcasts.
Not even Detroit, like Dearborn. Like I know Dearborn's kind of
It
like
was,
a
no,
suburb.
it was at the Pontiacs. It was at the Henry Ford Museum. That's what it was at.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, like Cleveland, Oklahoma City, Nashville. Like just I don't know what
I guess
what possessed.
difference with was it designing 007 when it was
Yes.
Toronto, Dubai,
Yeah.
London.
But that was huge and big, and that was way more of an Eon, like a Eon one. And the thing is, that's what's funny is the earlier back you go. Remember, I told you earlier that the first Connery movie that I saw on the big screen, and I'll put those pictures up and stuff because back in, this was 1987, so I was 18 years old.
I thought you said your first one was Barry Nelson.
Well, no, Barry Nelson. Oh, yeah. You know what? Don't make me fly to Toronto just to smack you up.
Oh, don't worry, I'm in London. So
you are just ripping on me.
Well, you were texting me today about 1984. So
yeah, that's true. But back in the day, I was a member of there were two James Bond fan clubs. There was the James Bond British fan club, which put out the 007 magazine. Yes. And there was the American James Bond fan club, which put out the magazine called Bondage. And in their newsletter,
did they understand that title back then?
No, they fully did. And it was a play like full on, man, full on. And I remember getting what was called Bondage Quarterly. It was this little newsletter.
Murray getting Bondage Quarterly.
Yeah, Quelle surprise.
Yeah.
And so on the back of one of these, it listed, right, that, and this was, again, Living Daylights. We were all just, chomping at the bit for the new Bond movie because that's, when they announced Timothy Dalton taking over. And Cubby Broccoli donated the first 13 prints of the Bond movies to the Museum of Modern Art in New York City.
Wow.
And it was probably one of the first ever sanctioned exhibits. And my parents, I remember we were in Ottawa and we went to New York for the summer. And that was the only way I found out about it. And I was lucky enough to go, and I still have some amazing still pictures, with my, Kodak Instamatic of, this exhibit in New York. And it was one of the first ones I actually have. If I can find, I'm going to do for our viewers, I've got a couple of pictures that were so cool that I blew them up. If I can find them, I certainly don't need them anymore. I've got the negatives. We're going to give those away to our followers. And I got to tell you, those type of pictures, like I've looked through the MoMA archive, and their pictures that they took of the event are almost exactly the same as the pictures that I have. So if I can find those, we're going to pull those out. We're going to give those away as a JBC giveaway to our fans.
Yeah, I should have some books to give away too recently, and you have tons of posters.
Oh my God.
So.
And so this listing on the back of Bondage Quarterly had all of, like, in addition to the exhibit going on, each day downstairs in the Titus Theater, they would show Bond movies on the big screen. And I still actually have my little ticket stub, and that's where I saw my first Connery movie on the big screen, was You Only Live Twice, in a hot afternoon in the summer of '87 in New York City at the MoMA. So it's amazing that I look back now at, designing 007, Spyscape, Secret Cinema, all these things that are the advent and great for new Bond fans. And to think back that, man, I was 18 years old, 1987, and I was lucky enough to see, one of the first ever Bond exhibits, and still have some memories that we can share. I mean, that's what we like about sharing our content, because, as Jeff said, my Barry Nelson, right? All like that.
We got some more shout outs to Bond Armory. Ray's in here, and Kyle B
Yep.
007. Kyle's in the house, and they're
How you
having a little bit of fun with the Joes, the
Are they?
Psylocke and the being James Bond Joes.
The
So,
double Joes.
the double
Make
Joes,
Bond
who
look Joes.
both the double Joes were good buddies of mine traveling for the Majesty's event, and you got to see Darlington recently for Secret Cinema
Yeah.
and Mary. So you got to see.
I tell you, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, in the conversations that I had with Marcos from James Bond Brazil and Morton from Norway and Anders, and we all know the names, we all know these people, and they're all amazing people. But I absolutely believe that when we do Global James Bond Day in New York, or when we go to, you know, London for Bond 25, it used to be for me that was the reason. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited for Bond.
Oh yeah,
all
it's
of that
the people.
stuff now. All of that stuff has become
Second.
absolutely secondary to
Totally.
hanging out with our Bond friends, our Bond family, and we love each other because we understand each other in a way that other people don't. It's beyond a passion and a hobby, and yet we're all such cool people, such giving people of our time, of our connections, of our, you know, passion for Bond. I think the Bond community is the best part about Bond.
Yeah, and I think the internet is a vehicle that's really helping us all connect daily, obviously now, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. So, cool. So,
what do you got on the horizon for your next batch of content for us?
oh yeah, so I don't know when I'm gonna launch it. I have it filmed. I got to do a thumbnail and a title, but I got a quick little video of the garden sequence from Majesty's when, you know, the montage, the all time in the world montage. So I got that video coming out. These are never going to go viral, but I just kind of want it on the channel.
Yep.
Now my next to edit, maybe I get to it tonight, but I need to edit the beach sequence where Terrence Mountain and George Lazenby reenact
Recreated
their fight, which is,
Yeah.
and there's people in this chat, if they're still here, that were there, and this happened 50 years ago, and happened recently in May or whatever month we were there. That it's never going to happen again. You're not going to get George Lazenby back to Portugal in that fashion, and you're not going to get Terrence Mountain there with George Lazenby on the same Jincho Beach or whatever. Martin will pronounce them all a lot better than I can. But so we got that coming at my house, because right now we're in my business's studio. Because what's going on here, guys, is Murray and I are on a Zoom call, and then we're streaming the Zoom call to YouTube, because YouTube, we can't figure out a way. I haven't been able to yet to quickly split the screen on a live stream. I can live stream anytime with my phone on James Bond Canada, but this is the unique thing we're trying to do right now.
Yeah.
But back at my house, which is only 4 doors down from this house I'm in right now, $30 from China, I got a what is it called, the gun barrel. And I'm trying that out. So for intros and outros, yeah.
And can I say, amazing?
Yeah.
Like, amazing. Because I don't know if you guys can tell, but I live on the non-sunny side of the street. I face west, so I get a view of the street instead of the alley from my condo. But it's tree lined, and I get very little light. And so to find the right spot often to film, you just like, I mean, you could have like the best JBC studio going. Like, man, seriously, like it looks amazing, Jeff. And for all of the viewers out there and our fans, I mean, I just thank you so much for everything that you do for JBC, because without you, I don't think our engagement would be where it is. And I'm so glad that some fresh young blood is involved.
It's like I didn't have enough on my plate. I thought, well, hey, let's just ramp up the Bond channels for
could you
reasons?
Could you do that?
Whatever reasons are.
Well, that's right. Well, because the reason is because I can't figure out how to work my phone. Right?
Yeah, it's fine. But like, we don't. That's the good part. We don't need you to recreate whatever I'm doing. We need you to tell us these crazy Living Daylights New York City stories that nobody's ever heard until now. So being James Bond, question: what's been your favorite Bond inspired experience, travel, gathering, etc.? So I guess for me, like, I don't know if I'd pinpoint them, but definitely the themed party people, Richard Skillmans, have become quite a family going on those trips. Taking the leap to go on those trips, and then meeting some amazing people in the Bond travel spaces and really lifestyle spaces. That's been amazing. These people have come to my wedding. So that all started. I went on the License to Kill 2009 20th anniversary cruise, where I remember Joe Silock, who's in this chat, I think he sent it to me, an advertisement saying License to Kill 20th anniversary cruise, leaving from Fort Lauderdale or something, and it's going to Key West for License to Kill. It had the Caymans just because that's where the cruise was going, and then Jamaica, and we're gonna go to Goldeneye. And I was like, "Oh my! You tell me I just pay some money and I'll be in Goldeneye? Cool!" And that with those guys, lifelong bonds. We had our bonds, but we already had. Joe and I had already gone to Vegas in 2008 for Dare to Be Bond 3.
Right.
And he had been on Dare to Be Bond 2. And this is before you can even see what people look like. I'm pretty sure Joe, sorry, Joe, I'm going to call you out on this one, but he was Professor Dent on CommanderBond.net. And, you know, I'm buying a plane ticket to Vegas to meet internet avatars.
I know.
And it was a gamble back. Now it's so much easier. You can quickly DM with people and you kind of get to know who they are. But back then it was like, "Hi, I'm here for the James Bond
It was
thing."
kind of Well, you never knew what you were getting.
No.
I think I've got a few. I mean, obviously that trip to I don't know. As we get older, you look back on your teenage years and you reminisce about, your graduation, the spring break in Miami and like all those things. But that trip to New York in 1987 to the MoMA, that was just, I mean, it was a huge thing for me because what it did for me, in my mind anyway, it was my decision at that point that I was going to be more than just a Bond fan. That I was going to engage myself in the Bond franchise and then collect, study, research, read, so that eventually I could, I could become sort of an authority on the franchise. I wanted to know everything there was to know about 007. And when you're 18 years old like that and you really want to sink your teeth into something, that was pretty great. 2006, where you were, of course, for Vue sur Bond in Quebec. And this is the funniest story. I don't know if you guys all know this, but Jeff had sent me some pictures, and I'd been talking with Anders for a while and always admired his website because I speak French and had actually had some connections at the Toronto Film Festival where I used to live. I actually got a chance to work with the Cité des Festivals for Vue sur Bond in 2006, where Shirley Bassey came, Roger Moore was there, and I actually worked the event. So I was going to be able to go to all the luncheons and do everything. And on the Friday, I got food poisoning. And I spent the weekend hooked up to an IV. And I was in the hospital all weekend, and I missed the whole thing. And that was the time when Jeff and I and Anders and I should have met for the first time, because we shared pictures. And they're like, "You were there?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I was in the hospital." So
is this the Roger Moore one?
Yeah.
See, I'll tell a story. I'm in London, Ontario. This is Quebec City. It's about today's money, $400 or $500 plane ticket. You can be there before lunch. You leave London at 8 in the morning. You're walking around by 11, just from all the crap at the airport before and after. Take a quick taxi. That might as well have been the other side of the world for me in 2006. Just wasn't really that. I guess the beauty. Maybe you're not a confident traveler back then. Maybe I was younger. I must have been, only like 22, I guess. And there could be some young Bond fans that are starting to watch this, because it could be 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Yeah. Take a chance, guys, especially if Roger Moore is just down the road from you. Hop on that plane, figure it out. You're going to meet people, and they're going to lifelong connections. And it wasn't until Dare to Be Bond where I flew to Vegas and met these people.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well,
maybe I would have just owned the DVDs if I never went on that, and that end of story. Now,
the only reason
I have all the experiences.
Right? I was with my parents. It was like my parents would never have let me go to New York by myself at the age of 18 in 1987. Yeah, New York was not the same back then either. So that was, and then of course, the 2012 Skyfall premiere was amazing for me because I think that was really my first really big international trip where I got to, dip my foot in the pool of the Bond community. Like that's where I met, David Z for the first time. And
Who? Does he have a channel?
David Ritchie from the Bond Experience, of course, our master and guru that we all hail to. And people like Thomas Nixdorf from Germany and Marcos from James Bond Brazil. So this was the first time because, again, each of our own different countries has their own little events. Canada didn't have much. But as Jeff said, if you wanted to go and meet the Bond community, you had to go where there was something like, I think about Anders in 2006. The guy,
he looks young in those photos.
From Sweden to Quebec
With love.
City.
To Quebec
exactly.
City. I know. So that's commitment. And I was a wimp. I was one province over.
I know. But you were I was in Vancouver. So even that was a stretch at the time, right? To get to
But if you put yourself back, if sitting here right now, you're probably beyond the food poisoning thing.
But I missed, you don't understand. I missed everything, dude. I missed everything. I never saw Roger. I never met you.
Okay.
Never met Andrew. This shirt, I missed it. Hooked up to an IV, dude.
This is going to be a motivational live stream now. If next time you're at a Bond event and James Bond's there and you have food poisoning, push through. And okay. They probably have they have toilets at the chateau.
That would have been awesome, walking around one of those gowns with the ass out, like my IV walking around, right?
Roger, can you sign this quickly? I got to get back to the hospital.
I'm due for an EKG at 4 and an enema at 6, so we gotta wrap this up, guys. Yeah, and if
it makes you feel better. I my throat hurt for Spectre. So.
Oh, gee, poor thing. And then, of course, this time around for Secret Cinema was literally my body didn't. By the time I got back, my body didn't even know what continent it was on because just as I was getting used to London time, I was already back. It was just a quick in and out trip.
Okay.
But I tell you, 4 days with all of those people from the Bond community, it really cemented relationships and did great things for JBC and for me. It's just a wonderful group of people. So
okay, let me just engage with the chat a little bit here. So Joe Silock, he remembers the bulletin board or message boards is how it all happened.
Yep.
Being James Bond, remembers Dare to be Bond, but never went. And then we got Lloyd Nance in the house. Hello, Lloyd. Reporting from Seattle, which is close to Murray, because he's just, if you look north, you can see Murray in his apartment in Vancouver. And we got some Lloyds. Oh, and ready to make your day, Murray. Darlington says, Mary said her BBF, her best friend, whatever, needs to visit. She says hello. So get your butt. Is it I think New Jersey or areas.
Well, I made a really bad joke because I had an aunt who lived in New York, and I often asked her, she had relatives in Jersey. And I asked her why she never went to Jersey. I told them the answer, but I won't tell it on I won't tell it on our YouTube channel. But yes, I will come to New Jersey. I will, absolutely. That would be amazing. I would love, and you know what? I would love people to come to Vancouver. Jeff, I got a question for you now.
Sure.
What do you think of, I've noticed that despite the fact that our country is enormous, we have a large population in some big cities. Do you find that the reach and the extent of where the Bond fans are in Canada is still a mystery? We know that there's sort of Bond fans all over, but I still don't know where the majority of our fans are from across our country. They engage with us. We know a lot of them, and we thank them for watching and following us on our social channels. What do you think is the Bond demographic in Canada?
Not like the expert Bond or very vocal Bond, but I think the GTA has quite a lot of Bond.
You did a Bond meetup not too long ago. That was great.
Lee Bolton came, and then I stacked the deck with some of my friends that I said, "Come on, make my meetup look bigger," and we had some drinks and talked about Bond. So, but after it was just doing it once because all of a sudden other people were like, "When's the next one?" The classic every person answer to why they couldn't make it. So
well, we're going to try and do one. We're going to try and organize one here on the West Coast before it will be after Labor Day. It'll be after the U.S. Open. So sometime in September, before the weather gets really, really rainy, we're going to do a James Bond Canada meetup here out in Vancouver.
Anybody you can cherry pick quickly that that would come, or do we have to really pump this on the
You
channels?
know what? Well, I think I've got a few.
Well, actually, sorry, Lloyd Nance from Seattle says he needs to make a trip to Vancouver, so maybe that's a
Oh,
perfect time for Lloyd to come up, have a drink with
what?
Murray, and chat Bond.
That's right.
Get a free
And
poster.
I just missed Aaron, who people might know on Instagram as God. I hope I get this right. I'll have to look at my phone. I think it's YYC007.
Yeah, Aaron in Calgary. Right. Yeah.
That's right. Have you met Aaron?
No, just internet, and he texts and he follows all our journey. He was in London, Ontario, while I was in Switzerland. I was like,
not even. He was here in Vancouver last weekend for his.
Did you meet up?
Apparently for his wife's birthday. We tried to meet up, but unfortunately, that was also the same weekend as the fireworks and Gay Pride Day, and I had a lot of stuff going on that weekend.
A lot of bondage.
A lot of bondage. That's right. Yeah. A lot of fireworks, a lot of bondage. And I said to him, because he's like, we're just here. Like, we're going for dinner for my wife's birthday. I said, well, wish her a very happy birthday for me. I hope that we can meet up. And I said to him, I'm like, great weather, picked a perfect time. I'm like, you realize that if you're in the downtown anywhere from like Saturday at noon till Sunday at noon, you're stuck. Like there's fireworks night and it's Gay Pride Day tomorrow. And he's like, really? Like, how can you plan a trip to Vancouver over that weekend and not know they were happening? So yeah, we've got some fans in Vancouver, big fans in Toronto, Montreal, but I think
Montreal for sure. Matthew and Edgar.
That's right. Bonjour,
and Jean. Sorry, I forget about Jean. I don't forget about Jean. Just Jean is the hidden Bond guy expert there. He's got quite the little collection at his condo that he doesn't post about. But I don't think I teased his condo. I think I was nice because like he has amazing Bond stuff on the whole walls. All right, Psylocke's got a good one. I'm gonna struggle with the question. You should rock it out of the park, I think. Here's a question for you guys.
Yeah.
What is your current Holy Grail Bond item? A prop, a piece of clothing, book, location to travel to, etc. Oh, maybe I can salvage that last part.
It'll be Jeff's birthday present when he gets it.
There you go. So, what is your house is on fire and your condo's on fire, and you got to grab one Bond item. What are you grabbing?
Well, actually, if any of you know it, again, another member of our Bond community, his name is Thomas Nixdorf from Germany. And my affinity has always been for the things that are associated with the royal premieres and the premieres of the Bond movies. So for most of you who know, Dr. No got released in the UK in 1962, but didn't make it till America till 1963 because they didn't know if it was going to be a hit. So a few years ago on eBay, I saw this item that I lost out on by just a few dollars. Thomas managed to score it.
Outbid
you. And we have been back and forth several times talking about, how these two items really should be together. They're, one with the other. And he goes, and he texted me back and he's like, yes, they really should be in the Nixdorf collection. I'm like, I don't know. I think it should be in the JBC collection. I know. But I'll tell you why it's rare. Because as far as we know in the Bond community, and please correct us if I'm wrong, and that goes out to David Zaritsky, Bond Experience, Screams Blood, all of our people out there. In the UK, it was just, it wasn't a big deal. Like they just released Dr. No. It wasn't premiere worthy, so to speak. There may have been private screenings, but there were no official passes or anything printed. When it came to America, and this is actually really cool, because if you ever watched Mad Men, you probably watched Mad Men. You seem like the type of person.
Actually, I was weirdly watching Mad Men last night. So because I just saw it pop up on Netflix. I'm like, I haven't watched this in a while. I'm not going to watch the whole series, but I just put on one episode. So.
There you go. Yeah. So, so in one episode of Mad Men, they go up to what was then called the Plaza of Nations. It's at the where World Trade Center was on I forget the address. It's on there, but it used to be called the Highlight Room, the Skyline Room. I'd have to check the pass on it. The Universal Club. Anyway, it was the restaurant that was on the top floor, and it was a gentleman's club during the daytime. And in America, when they launched this party, what they did was there was a 2-part invitation. So I have, and this is my most valued Bond item, the printout card that says you have been invited to attend the premiere of James Bond, Sean Connery as Dr. No in the, at the Tower Suite. The Tower Suite, that's what it's called. At the Plaza of, 42nd Street, etc. on this day. And then at the bottom of it, it says, please fill in this form and RSVP to get your ticket. And so when it came up on eBay, I tried to buy it and I missed out. So I have the pre-invitation and Thomas has the ticket. And as far as we know, it is the first ever Bond franchise printed invitation and the oldest known artifact and item for a Bond premiere ever, even preceding the UK, because nothing came out of the UK again because it wasn't
right,
sort of premiere worthy. So
what kind of money are we talking about on eBay?
You know what? Listen, this I've even toyed this around with, but I would hazard to say, like, I mean, I don't think I've ever been a greedy person, but I would hazard to say that would have to be worth at least $1,000.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I'm way out of my mind, maybe only 500, but as far as I know, I've only ever seen one ever. I've got it, and I've only ever seen one ticket, and Thomas has it. And the funny part is, the reason I knew Thomas Nixdorf had that title was because I remember the photograph, and I kept a photograph of it in my off eBay, because I actually wanted the pair. So I actually copied the text and made like a fake one just on a piece of like cardboard so I could have the pair, because on the actual ticket, the one that was sold on eBay that Thomas has, is the name of the person. It's actually written in handwritten pen of the fella who got this ticket and eventually went to the premiere.
Very cool.
How about you? What's your most surprise?
I guess Joe added in locations at the end, but I think honestly, most 99.9% of it could burn down and I'll carry on. My collecting's, I have a lot of stuff. I collected differently when I was a teenager than I do now. A lot of it is more like the clothing now, but technically it could burn. My brothers lost my Bond sunglasses multiple times when I was growing up. The Casino Royale Bahamas ones are at Canada's Wonderland at the bottom of a roller coaster somewhere. So, and he tried to buy the Persols after thinking the second Persols, not the first ones. And he couldn't get them anymore. And life goes on. So it's just the Bond memories per se. Obviously the premieres are very, when people like to ask like, what's your favorite Bond movies as well, like Skyfall and Spectre are special because of the premieres, and I actually experienced that, not necessarily the start time, end time of the movie. It's all the extra stuff. The only like really unique thing I think I have is a really cool location story that when I was in Louisiana, I shot up to Miller's Bridge, which was where they did in Live and Let Die, the water road block, the boat block, which Bond just blows right past. Anyways, I parked the car as Lindsay Skillman's car. Okay,
I remember this.
This is Richard's daughter. She's working down there now, so she gives me her car for the day. I'm with my brother and my cousin. We go up, do a bit of location hunting. It's just fun. Get out of the main part of New Orleans, and I just parked the car. There's only like 5 houses up the water on the west side of north of Miller Bridge. Yeah. And I'm like being the Bond nerd, taking some photos, about to do the Richard Skillman, like, check, let's go hit the bar and talk about how awesome we are, because we just saw a Bond location, which is normally what we do. And I'm the horn's honking. My car's in the way of the 5 houses. Like, oh, people live here? Like, it just didn't seem like people were there. Yeah. And like, I was like, oh man, I'm a big ass. And but this is important because this is how this happened. I know. And I started talking to the lady, and I said, oh, sorry, we're from Canada. I'm from James Bond. And like, you drop a little bit of like James Bond Canada. I'm just not a weirdo. And she's like, oh, well, I got something from the James Bond movie we found in the attic. And like, I know. All of a sudden, you're like, sorry, what? Like, you have something from the movie in your attic? Yeah. And you don't even know what it is. And she's like, and it was on their fridge with a magnet. And now they're not the first homeowners from 73. So they bought this house and were just rummaging around the attic one day and found this thing. And it was an Eon Productions receipt for $100 for the land rights for a time period. Like, here's $100, shut up, we're filming. And also had the Eon Productions business manager business card attached to it. Now, you're talking like your item be $1,000 on eBay. This is only worth what anybody would ever pay for it. It can be $1 or it could be $100 or $50. And I was like, but I want it because it's part of like the story of traveling here. And
I would rule like something like that. I would literally, I'd like lose my crap. I'd be like, must have like, I just,
like,
you know,
for like the weird, like it's,
so
like
random.
It's not worth anything more than what any of us in this chat would pay for it. But I mean,
and she gave it, right?
So basically, all right. So the Jeff Wybo businessman had to come out a bit, and I was like, okay, I really want this, and you got to network a little bit with her, and you know what she wanted, and it really sucked because I had the flight the next morning or something like that.
Yeah.
She just wanted to have she's like, why don't you guys come back and have a drink? We're watching the football game, and I'll give it to you.
Aww.
And because like America shuts down when there's football, and that's it, like right? The Saints, and yeah, like I couldn't because I had to leave. So I called Visa Concierge because that's with my credit card. The concierge service can do things for you, and I was like, send this lady. She wanted like 6 beers or something. I'm like, send this lady 48 beers. Like what kind? I'm like, I don't know, anything. Miller High Life, whatever's good.
But
whatever because like, yeah, that's all they kind of wanted. That's the kind of beer they drank, and that was a big issue. Like they couldn't track it down for the longest time, and I was just like, I don't care what it costs. I think I ended up paying, I don't know, call it $100 just to send this lady the gesture of this, and she ended up. So I didn't leave New Orleans with it. She mailed it to my house back in Canada. And wrote me a nice letter. And okay, well, now that I'm being held accountable, I will send her back a Live and Let Die postcard. You know those postcards probably all have from like chapters and all that. Send her back a Christmas card or something like that with that, and just because she just wanted to keep in touch. And so I have it now. It's a bookmark. Pretty much, but what was so cool because it had the Eon Productions business address attached to it. So I went back into New Orleans, and tracked down the thing, and then hit the buzzer and said, "Hey, did you know a James Bond movie filmed here many, many years ago?" And they're just like, "Get lost," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "We don't care," but took a photo of that, so that was kind of neat. And then so in the movie where Hamilton gets stabbed, and a lot of people have been to that location. But there's another part in the movie where the taxi comes down and Bond and Leiter get out. Well, that's where that office is. It's a little bit down.
That alley.
It's actually that's the same corner, actually. And
I was going to say the Voodoo Lounge, but that's a tour by the Rolling Stones, by the Filet of Soul.
Filet of Soul, and but it's just funny. Like if the Eon Productions office is there, you'd assume Roger and the actors were there, and like, hey, you want to go film a scene? Like, cool. Can we just do it right outside, right here? Yeah, sounds good. Let's not go too far, because it's all like right there, right? And I think the more Bond locations you travel to, you get to see this a lot too. So, anyways, that was like a cool. Not that I would grab that in a fire per se, but it's a pretty cool piece because it's actually.
I would grab that fire, but it's true. Like I mean, I remember the first time I went to just outside Vegas, right to Henderson, where the Morton's Slumberland, right, is now that tourist information building and like tourist kiosks and stuff, and and again, all of this is on like Video 8, so I'll have to start looking for a little more of it. But like the first time when I was working on the cruise ship, and the first time we pulled into Bilbao, right? And so I've got all this like awesome footage of like, okay, there's the window where Brosnan would have jumped out of, and then down the street, looking at the Guggenheim, and all the pictures and stuff, and all the footage I took of at the pyramids in Cairo and stuff. So I've been to a lot of the locations, but funny for me, I think that was at the time. I think I was the only one who cared about it. And I was like, like people.
It's a new phenomenon, on the tracks of 007.
Exactly.
It's like, gotten crazy with angles, not just like being at the bottom of where the Guggenheim is and the windows up there. So,
like, I mean, I don't think I was that precise, but I'm like, okay, well, if he was standing here and it must be there, and but I've been to the places, but like if you go to Cairo and you see like 100 tourists from all over the world, and they're all filming the pyramids, they're just filming for the sake of like seeing it. For me, when I was there, I was just filming for the sake of filming it and not trying to get any of the same angles or the same kind of feel.
Oh, for sure.
Inside, I was like, oh my God, they filmed a Bond movie here. Oh my God, they filmed it. Like, you know, and that's
it's a new phenomenon. Like, okay, I go on a lot of the trips, and the guys are in the chat here as well. Take a photo. Like, there's certain people that don't want any people in the photos, so they get that photo. But there's other people that like need the exact angles, and there's other people that are like just like being in the experience, and then they go have a beer over here. I fit kind of in that category. Get the quick photo. I know Joe Silock. Let's call him out. He's supposed to have an amazing website coming up where he's going to be posting a lot of the Bond photos that he's taken for the last decade.
Right on.
So my joke was always, I don't need a camera. I have Joe. Because Joe would take all the photos. And
well, dude, we were talking about, you know, Goldeneye in Jamaica. Like, I mean, oh my God. I sailed out of Fort Lauderdale on 7-day Caribbean cruises for, like, I mean, probably like 2 years. Like, I've been to Jamaica, Cozumel, the Cayman Islands, and the Bahamas like 100 times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we would, you know, it was second nature to me. Like, I was always there. So every time I go to Jamaica, you know, I've got pictures of what they used to call, I guess it was the old bauxite mine from Dr. No.
It's right at the port where the cruise ships port.
All up and down here. I've got this one picture, and I remember too, because I'll have to post the picture, but I went to James Bond Beach. And of course, we all know that it's private and cut off, but we were part of a tour audit. And so these tour companies that pay the cruise ships to, you know, oh, we want to do your kayak tour, or we want to do your horseback riding. Every year they would have to be audited to make sure they were up to the par of the vendor, right? The Princess was going to sell these tours. So we had agreements with some of the people. So they knew that we were coming. So you'd never see 30 or 40 people going through. You'd be like 3 guys in a kayak. So one day I like ventured over to like where it was. And this was back in the day when digital cameras were, you know, like crap. Like, and it was like basically like a Kodak Instamatic with like a digital function. And so I tried as best as I could. So I set the camera on the rock, pushed the timer, and I literally like jumped and ran into the waterfall just so I could park myself on a rock, smile, and get the picture. Second step, like it was so smooth and my shoes, and I literally just took a dirt nap and just like slammed my knee right against a rock.
Is there a photo of you cringing?
No, this is the thing. And somehow I managed it. So I'm like in just dire pain. I'm like, oh my God, the timer. I got some. So literally I turn around, park it. I'm like, you know, and so there's a picture, Bermuda shorts or whatever. And I look like I'm just like, look at me. I'm on the waterfall, the James Bond waterfall at the beach on Sugar Beach from the exact private lake area of like Dr. No, where he comes up over the sandbar and sees her. And I'm just like, I'm totally chilling. Meanwhile, inside, I'm like, oh my God, that freaking hurts so much. I'm like, it was brutal. But the picture turned out pretty good. So that was, you know, that's a location shot.
So we got some pretty heavy hitters still in our chat here.
Right.
David's at the in-laws, and he's tuning in as he can. Really appreciate it. And thank you for the Tommy Bahamas connection on this one. David, he's saying, nice Bond 25 outfit. I think the Spearies are downstairs here where I'm at.
Nice.
And they were asking in general, what was your first Bond movie? What was the actual question? What was the first Bond movies you guys saw in theaters or on video? My first was A View to a Kill on VHS, and Tomorrow Never Dies in the theater. That was Lloyd, who you remember, he's in Seattle. Yep. And then the chat's been going. So like David Ritsky was Atlantic City, New Jersey, watching Spy. Moonraker for Psylocke.
Yeah, that's right, David. I forgot David and ours first was, my first was Spy at the drive-in, 9 years old. And the first one on VHS, or the first one on tape, believe it or not, I think was probably Diamonds Are Forever, I think. Because it was one of the only ones that was the video store, you know, had. Because by then you'd have to wait like 3 or 4 years before it came out.
Right. So,
you know, like if it was 77, it probably wouldn't come out on video till like, you know, 82 or something like that. So
okay, good.
I've seen
good
every
response
Bond
time from them.
Yeah,
or good production value there.
Yeah, CBS Fox Video. Actually, I still have one of.
I remember those covers.
CBS Fox Video posters. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like there was no internet back as much as it is now in the 90s, right? So, and first one in theaters, ready, Murray, was The World Is Not Enough. I got dropped off at the theater to go watch it. And this is back when
By your babysitter?
Yeah, yeah. My dad dropped me off, and eventually I went with my dad. I saw it like 3 times, I think, in the editions. This trivia before the movie, like this is back when like theaters were like theaters and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
were like, "We're doing Bond trivia for you can win movie tickets or something," and like so they're about to ask questions. So I'm like,
Yeah.
like they haven't even asked the question yet, and I'm just like,
And you already knew
because
the
they're like,
answer.
"Who plays Q?" And I'm like, "Do you see my hand? It's already been up, so please pick me." So it was pretty
That's
easy,
awesome.
just generic public Bond questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
okay, so then TV or VHS, you think it would be GoldenEye, because like that's kind of how I, from this video game, learned that this is a Ian Fleming series, and there's movies, and like worked my way backwards. Now, one day when I was watching A View to a Kill, we all know when the Rolls Royce goes underwater, and Bond's underwater, and he's taking the air from the tire, right?
The air. Yeah.
I have a weird, strange memory in the back of my head of being at my grandma's, probably like 1990 or 1991 or 2,
Yeah.
where this movie must have been on TV, because I remember a man underwater using the air in a tire to live.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what movie it was.
No.
But I just remembered a man breathing the air of a tire underwater. So technically, and then I've seen this, like when you're rewatching it, I was like, I think A View to a Kill might be technically my first,
Yeah.
version.
Yeah,
of
I
Bond.
remember. I think I remember 5 or 6 distinct scenes, or sort of vignettes or whatever from The Spy Who Loved Me. The more I think back about it, I often wonder if it's my own memory playing tricks on me, thinking that I remember everything because I know it so well now, and trying to remember the actual like things. But at 9 years old, you don't. You're not. That's like grade like 6, I guess. You're aware, but you're not. That aware. I don't think it's like watching, like Bambi or something, like when you're, 5 or 6 or something, and that kind of movie feeling, like seeing movies when you were a kid, much different than seeing movies when you start understanding it. But I vividly remember all of the sort of the key scenes of Spy, the Egypt and the car in the water,
Very visual movie, right? Very travelogue-y
and Barbara Bach too. Like, oh my God, she was everything. I mean, beautiful, classy, voluptuous, smart, kind of, dangerous. It just like everything. And I don't know why, but that one dress that she wears, the black one, when she's out with, and we've all seen the dress now at various, designing 007 exhibits, but back then you see it up close in a display box. Man, it just doesn't have the same, I vividly remember that scene, they're walking around and they're bumping into each other back to back, and she turns and she's got like all the diamond bracelets on with that, the diamond trim running on that beautiful black dress, and just amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we're at about an hour and a half, buddy. And
sweet.
And people joining in now. We really appreciate everybody in. Do you guys want to see Craig in Bond 26 as being James Bond?
Wouldn't say no.
Wouldn't say no. But also can go coin flip if they have a master plan. You got to assume Eon has a whiteboard somewhere, and maybe they draw on it sometimes and say, what's our next step here after this movie? Maybe they erase it a lot, but hopefully they have a master plan on a whiteboard.
Well, I've talked to some few people in the Bond community, and I keep saying, well, what, because there have been a couple of times, regardless of Craig's comments of whether he wanted to do another one right after wrapping the other one. It's like, well, of course you don't. Do you want to run a marathon?
Slash my wrist.
Exactly. It's like, come on.
Which I didn't take that at all. Like, I don't know why the internet blew that up, but
anybody who did is just kind of like a dope as far as I'm concerned. It's literally like saying, after you've just done an Ironman, it's like, hey, do you want to run a marathon?
Right.
No.
Do you want to do a live stream right after this live stream?
Absolutely. The thing is that the way it's portrayed now, especially in some of Craig's interviews and stuff, is, to me, there has to be a vested interest. And I asked some people in the Bond community, I'm like, well, if you really want to, if you love the character, if you want to be known as the person who's been Bond longest, I'm like, why would Craig stay do another one? And the comments that I got from a lot of people, they were like, Murray, money.
What's he getting? 30 million?
Probably, and that's probably pounds, right? Plus a percentage of the box office, plus an executive producer credit. He, never
got to keep that New York penthouse or whatever he's got in his Chelsea flat.
Yeah, but to me that actually lessens the value of the contribution, because to me, if someone said, you can't put it like the Harry Potters because we're talking about child actors and stuff, but whether it's this constant Fast and Furious 50 or to me, I think there has to be a point where you get past the money, and Craig has always sort of been a stand-up guy. It is a weird
arc because he was just an actor before that just wanted to be an actor. He didn't even want to be James Bond, and now it's like, oh, I like money.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, I mean, what is your opinion on it? If you saw someone who was like, whether it's Bourne, I'm trying to think of something else that's like analogous to it. But would you want to see someone continue in a project where that there's this is years and years and years of history? We're not talking about 2 movies in the 2000s. We're talking about movies that started in the 60s. There's a history, a franchise, a great James Bond. And if you saw an interview with one guy who was playing Bond and who had done 3 Bond movies, and he was on, Jimmy Kimmel, they said, so will you do another one? And they said, yeah, if they pay me $40 million, I'll do another one. Like, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to hear that. It's like, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry. If that's the only reason that you want to do one, then hit the road, Jack. Because I believe that you have to have a vested interest in the character. And Craig has often, in some of the public relations things that I've seen in interviews, he's always said that, like, it's beyond that for him. It means more to him than that. He has a vested interest. And if he has a vested interest and it's beyond just a money grab, then absolutely. What do
you want legacy. You want, like, he should be thinking about legacy, not payday. Payday's for today. Legacy will be forever, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Hollywood ruins people, and I guess this is Hollywood, even though it's British, but like movies.
But I think the British have a little more of a base. Like, I mean, I don't think they succumb to the Hollywood cocktail of drugs and fame like a lot of the other sort of less more Americanized things. Because haven't you heard? Would you agree that you've heard Craig say on a couple of occasions that that he wants to be Bond, that he wants to develop the character, that he wants to contribute to the franchise, that it's more than money for him?
Well, you got to assume being in the, what is he, executive producer or producer?
Yeah.
He obviously cares, so maybe he does care. I don't know. So it's not just money, because if it was just money, he'd be like, let me know when we're shooting. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
And he's probably attending meeting after meeting after meeting, phone call,
Yep.
A lot of stuff, right? So, and script change. We're having you're filming? Cool. We're having a production meeting over here. You got to attend this production meeting now, or whatever. Like, possibly. I don't know how much he's being pulled left and right, because he's got a behind the scenes like executive job, and then he's also an actor. It's kind of like these directors that are in the movie.
Yeah.
When do you sleep?
Not like a Clint Eastwood,
right? I mean? But like, when do you sleep when you're Clint? Because you're done filming. I guess probably acting comes so easy to. I'm sure it comes easy to all of them, but I mean, sort of. But I mean, that's a lot of extra stuff you got to think about. Post production, maybe Daniel's involved a lot.
Yep.
He's got a newborn.
Like James, they're always working. It's
like James Bond Canada. Like, we are. So Joe says, Jeff, you got a pretty professional setup there. Thinking about doing a podcast. Well, I'm in my personal business area. That's why we're able to do this. And just if you guys are joining in, we are on a Zoom call, then with the OBS software, launching it over to YouTube. It's kind of how I figured out how to do it, unless you guys want to let me know in the chat if there's a better way. And by the way, how is the audio, guys? Does it sound good? So, because
I just keep getting so disappointed that you look so much better on the screen than I do, like all the time. Like and skin, the great shirt.
That's because I'm bringing back Murray. I'm bringing back the lounging Bond when we just found him lying at the Fontainebleau, if not in the middle of a car chase the moment the movie starts. Like what? Come on, Bond's supposed to be playing cards and just relaxing, not always in the middle of Daniel Craig's marathon.
I'm telling you, I just want you to like photocopy like a cutout of like your face, and I'm going to be like Roger Moore at the Christie's auction a few years ago when he was holding up like Daniel Craig's like face in front of the So just so that I don't break any of your camera lenses, and so you guys don't get confused in future broadcasts, I'm just going to hold up a little like Jeff paddle.
There we go.
To my face, so I can just feel better about how I look on camera next to my counterpart there in London. Damn,
it's a tough job being on Bond Canada. So
it is.
One day I'll be interviewing Britton Walker, being like,
yeah, that's right.
Stupid 20-year-old.
That would be awesome. You know what? In wherever I'm watching from Bond heaven after I shake off this mortal coil, I would love one day to see that as you on the other side of the screen with Britain, as the next generation of James Bond Canada. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So like, just so you guys know, this is live, 2-screened live. It's not super easy, but we're doing it. But maybe I can even get a 3rd screen, and I'll have to ask my videographer guys for my personal business. That's where I am right now, in my studio. But because that'd be cool. There's some people in the chat. It would be pretty cool to have on James Bond Canada, and we can chat with them Bond.
Oh, we would love to start talking to our friends, and we've got lots of friends out there, and I think that we both should send a huge shout out and a thank you to all of the members of the Bond community around the world. You know who you are. We can list all your names, but then I'll forget one and someone will feel left out. But, the amazing people I was with in Secret Cinema in London, the amazing people that you met on the OHMSS trip, all of your trips, and all of the Bond community around. Thank you all for engaging with us, for bringing us on your channels and including us in your social media. And we absolutely want to return the favor. We find all of you incredibly engaging personalities, a wealth of information, and would love to share what you have on James Bond Canada. We would happily invite guests on, because we love talking to you, even when we're talking about golf or tennis or the latest car that's coming out. So a huge thank you to all of our friends, followers, fans, and Bond colleagues and contemporaries out there. We love all of you.
Absolutely. It really hit me in Switzerland and in Portugal when some of the fans who attended were really following James Bond Canada's content and coming up to me like they knew me. And that's the beauty of what social media can do. And, cutting all the BS of introducing themselves, because like they feel like they already know me. And I'm like, hi, I don't know you, but okay, cool. You know everything about me. And they're like, oh, how's Sadie? And I'm like, great. She's right here. But it's just so cool how the reach and what I've been trying to do with the Instagram account a bit, and now trying to amp up the YouTube channel, and really appreciate everybody in there. I think our watch time is going to be great at the end of this podcast.
Yeah, awesome.
It's just finding time for me and you, because I'm a busy.
You know what I gotta say, Jeff is as a busy guy. He's got a beautiful wife, a beautiful daughter. He's
Saturday night, not down the road hanging out with her.
No,
closet here.
And I keep saying, whenever they decide to, they finally, whether it's the Canadian Hockey Housewives or whenever they start to, finally Bravo picks up, $1 million listing Toronto. You should be watching for Jeff on there, because he's got an amazing business acumen. I have a little more spare time, agreed, than Jeff does, because I don't have a family.
So guys, write in the comments, why isn't Murray posting more on our website?
But there is an addendum.
Okay.
I don't have a family, but I do have a lot of other things on the go. I'm very busy at work. I do a lot of things with tennis. I do a lot of things with charities. I do a lot of things with the building I live in. Are
you on the board?
I'd like to find my friends. It's complicated.
Okay. All right, what's your work week look like? Monday to Friday, same times, or fluctuates, or?
My days usually start somewhere around 7 a.m. and I usually finish maybe 3 out of the 5 days a week. I might finish around 6 or 6:30 if I'm lucky.
Putting in 12-hour days.
Yeah.
Holy
because
moly.
I know. And for an old guy, that's tough. No,
Yeah.
part of the reason is that the company that I work for, there are two people who do our job role, but unfortunately, right now I'm solo, so I'm covering a lot more territory than I was previously. So hopefully, my time will become a little more open once I get another partner in crime working with me at my job, and that'll free me up to do some other stuff. But yeah, honestly, I think what I need and want to know is, what do you fans want to see? Like, I think of my collection as sort of a 4-part collection: posters, books, and literary stuff, ephemera and passes and records and little tchotchkes, little Skyfall dolls and Q mugs and also that kind of stuff. And then just a history of Bond collecting. What would you like to see on Instagram? I mean, you tell me what you want to see. Tell me what your favorite movie is. Tell me what your favorite book is. Tell me what you're interested in, because I've got it from Dr. No all the way up, and I will start listening and reading comments and engaging with the fans a lot more to find out, hey, if there's something out there that you want, like, hey, maybe you've always been looking for this particular piece of memorabilia. Maybe I've got it, and maybe I'm willing to part with it. Maybe you want me to sell it to you. Maybe you want to put it in a giveaway. Anything that basically I'm here as
we
a
need more giveaways
for our Canadian market and beyond. And I don't want to show stuff that people are not interested in. You tell us what you want to see, and we'll do it. I'm really excited to do our James Bond 2004 exhibition video, and I'm working on another story right now. I think I'm going to call it "How to Keep a Bond Girl Warm." You like that title?
Whoa.
I think
that's clickbait.
I like think so, right? I like it. So we're gonna
I know where you're going with that.
Dude.
Okay, I won't spoil it.
I know. So we're gonna call it "How to Keep a Bond Girl Warm."
Yeah.
And it's definitely some
PG.
original and unique Canadian content.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put it together. I see. Jeff is like the mastermind behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. I just grab all the stuff together. I'm like, here's the ingredients for the recipe, and then I send it off to our tech guru Jeff, and I say, make something amazing out of this, and he does. The cake always tastes delicious. The bread is always perfectly baked. He's an absolute just an expert in this stuff, and it's so great to engage and collaborate with him. So we're working on that. And personally, even when I was doing the research on this one for Canadian fans, even I found this stuff super, super like neat to hear about, and it was really cool. I think you're gonna like it.
Okay, awesome. So let's see. You want to? We're cutting close on 2 hours for our very first one. We can talk.
Awesome.
Wow,
I know, right?
This is a podcast. Jeez.
It is.
But yeah, maybe we'll let these guys get back to their Bond movies. So probably interrupted them. They're probably in the middle. They're in the middle of The Spy Who Loved Me right now. They don't know what's gonna happen. They got to get back to their movie.
Okay. What are you gonna do tonight? What's on your agenda? Quiet night at home with the family?
Well, maybe I'll get back to editing, but maybe probably I'll take a break tonight. Try to do it tomorrow morning.
Good.
And yeah, really appreciate everybody that's joined in. Really excited to do more of these and grow this channel. Here, I gotta say it. I'm gonna be that annoying Jeff because this is what YouTube wants. Hopefully you guys have subscribed to this channel. You're already in here, so hopefully you subscribe. And actually liking this live stream helps out a lot as well too, especially during it. If you're on your mobile, I think it's harder, but if you're on your desktop, it's easy to hit the like button. And then if you have any like cool Bond sites or Facebook groups you're in, if you share this into it, or next time we're on, you share it, it'd be great because then we get more bodies into here. It helps the channel grow. And yeah, so I can be just like being James Bond one day and reach.
That's right. Just like James Bond. Never be the Bond
subscribers.
Experience.
We have a lot of. We're probably about 5 years away from catching the Bond experience.
I know, and you know what? We're actually hitting some milestones really, really soon. We're really excited. We're getting up to really close to about 2,000 followers on Instagram. We should hit that maybe in the next couple of months. We're really hoping to hit a benchmark. Hey, really excited about that. Same with our Twitter and our Facebook.
What is our Twitter at?
16, 17, something like that. Hey, we have more Twitter followers than the Bond experience.
Yay!
I know.
We beat on something. We should get on TikTok. We should be on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
James Bond Canada TikTok. We're gonna sing the Bond songs. That'll go viral.
No singing. So, but please reach out to us on our Twitter and our Instagram, our Facebook, and our YouTube channel, as well as our website, and put in your comments. We really, I mean,
we read them.
Jeff, both.
We're weird.
We do. And we could talk about Bond, and I could talk about one item of Bond memorabilia for like 8 hours and still not get bored. But to me, that's only exciting for me because I'm a geek. We want to know what you want. We want to engage with you because we want to show you what you're after and show you stuff you were like this, like your reaction when you saw that, the receipt with the Bismarck. It's like when I see cool Bond stuff that I didn't even know about, that I have never seen before. Oh my God. I'm just like, I just want to, like curl up with it and, wrap myself up like a warm blankie because I love it so much. So we want to make sure that we're bringing all the things that you want and that you want to see. Just let us know and we got it.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, Joe says later, and Lloyd says thanks for having us. Thank you guys so much. Really, there'd be nothing without you. It'd just be me and Murray talking, which is just like a phone call. So, but really appreciate everybody in the chat. And Murray, thanks, buddy. Good to talk to you. Catch up, and we will see you guys later. Bye, Bond. James Bond Canada will return. Bye.